All right, everybody, welcome back. Good morning. Happy Thursday. We've got some more Seattle Seahawks rookies to take a look at today. And this series of videos that's going to come out today will be dedicated to one particular rookie, our lone sixth round pick. We had 3 picks in the 5th and 3 picks in the 7th, but only 1 in the 6th. And this is the guy we took. So let's spend some time talking about Bryce Cabeldue. Interesting prospect in the sense that this was clearly one of the sleepers that we felt like we found in the pre-draft process. We used a top 30 visit on him, which usually the top 30 visits are meant for players that are almost certainly going to get drafted and are typically going to get drafted much earlier than the late day 3 area. So to use a top 30 visit on Bryce Cabeldue means you see something pretty special there that other people aren't necessarily seeing. Because Cabeldue was not expected to be drafted by and large by most pundits. So we saw something we liked. We had him in for a visit. And then we decided to spend a 6th round pick on him. So he did something right. Now, we've gotten to the bottom half of the day 3 draft area. We are now in round number 6. So there's going to be a little bit less for me to say, I think. When we're talking about guys that you take in this area of the draft, I think I'm just going to have a lot less to go over. Because, I mean, number one, it just, at a certain point, you start to feel like criticism isn't so justified, right? I mean, you take a guy in the 6th round or the 7th round, you really shouldn't be very critical of them at all. Like, you can point out some of the issues, but it's not like a 1st round pick or a 2nd round pick where the problems that they have could end up being a massive deal. When you're being overly critical of a guy that you picked in the 6th round before he's even played a snap, I don't know, at a certain point you just kind of feel like, what am I doing, right? The only barrier for, the only marker for success for a player like Bryce Cabeldue, at least right now, is that he makes the team. If he makes the team, makes the 53-man, then he did his job. And I kind of feel like when you get down to a player like this, it's less about thinking about what they can't do and just trying to find a couple things that they can do. And that should be enough. Okay, so before we get started, please like this video, click the thumbs up button, subscribe if you're new, click the bell for notifications, become a channel member for $2 a month. Those are the best ways to help support the channel. In any case, saying what we can about Cabeldue, he's an offensive guard. He played tackle in college, but he will be a guard in the pros. I don't know if he's going to be a left guard or a right guard or both, but he'll be one of them. Played at Kansas, spent his whole college career as a Kansas Jayhawk. 23 years old. I think he turns 24 literally the day the season starts, though, so basically 24. Yeah, excuse me. He's pretty tall, 6'4" and 3/4", which for a guard is a little above average. And he's also pretty lean for an interior lineman. Now, again, the percentile is for all guards. So if you want to say that he's going to be a left guard, this percentile would be a little more closer to the average. But regardless, if you were to take the position as a whole, and by the way, if I had to guess, I'd say Bryce Cabeldue is a left guard, but I don't know if the distinction is going to be that important. Then this percentile would, of course, be a little bit higher, and it'd be closer to the mid-range. And his arms, by the way, these measurements are from the Senior Bowl because he didn't get measured at the combine. 32.5 inches, which would be very short even for a guard. And it's pretty much untenable for a tackle, which is why he's not going to be a tackle. But 20th percentile for guards with 32.5 inches, that's not really exciting either, admittedly. So he's behind the 8 ball in some of these areas. Didn't do anything at the combine. So let's just go ahead and get to his career stats. This is Bryce Cabeldue by the numbers, by the statistics. So, 2020 COVID year, he does get a pretty good look. 4 games, but he plays over 50 snaps a game in those 4 games. So you got a decent look at him, and he was bad. He was bad pretty understandably. I don't know if it would be fair to expect him to be good. In 202 snaps, gives up a sack, a quarterback hit, and 10 hurries. All of his snaps played at right tackle. Mostly pass block, but a pretty decent mix. Mostly zone when Kansas did run the ball, which I prefer. And he graded out poorly, right around a 50 overall. A little bit better as a pass blocker than a run blocker, but not good in either category. So it was a decent first taste of college football for him, but he was not particularly good. And again, in these circumstances, COVID year, first season, you probably shouldn't be very good. It would be pretty extraordinary to be good here. But that gets us to 2021, his first full season where he actually gave you all 12 games. And things slowly start to head in the right direction. The train is not moving as fast as you might like, but it is moving down the tracks and getting us to where we eventually want to go. 633 snaps, so again, plays the whole year. 3 sacks allowed and 17 hurries allowed, so he's still very leaky. I will say that if you go on a per snap basis, it's actually not bad. 4 penalties committed this year. Not terrible either for a starting tackle. Pretty much exclusively a right tackle. He did get a few reps at left, but mostly right. Little bit more run blocking than pass blocking, which is rare. And that speaks to the way Kansas likes to play football. 329 run blocking snaps, 304 pass blocking snaps. A little bit more gap than zone, but a pretty even split this year. So good experience in both areas. Graded out slightly better because his run blocking grade went up, but his miserable pass protection continues to hold him back. And he's still not really a good player yet. He's coming along. There's some potential, but we're still looking at a pretty lackluster player. 2022. Plays in 13 games. Kansas gets an extra game this year. 800 snaps. So full season now. And now things start to turn in the right direction. Gets sacked once, allows 1 sack and 2 quarterback hits and 18 hurries. So on basically, what is that, like 20% more snaps, he allows a similar number of quarterback pressures, basically the same. I guess if you want to be pedantic, it's slightly better because fewer sacks, but basically he got a little bit more efficient as a pass protector. 5 penalties, so the penalties rose commensurate with the snaps. Pretty much everything at right tackle again, played 18 snaps at left. A little bit more pass blocking than run blocking, but pretty close to even. Way more gap than zone this year, so Kansas this year was a gap-heavy run team. 233 to 115, so 2 to 1. And he graded out, he's getting close to that C-level mark, right? You want to get to 60. When you get to 60, you're more of a benefit than a detraction from your team, is generally the way it's done. And he's still not there, but he's getting closer. And he's tolerable as a pass blocker and a run blocker, according to PFF. So 2023, time to really turn it on here, right? Time to really start showing that you can be a good player in this league. Time to start showing that you can be something beyond just a passable college tackle. Only played 11 games this year, played 688 snaps, so did lose a little bit of playing time. And he continued to allow quite a bit as a pass protector, 3 sacks, 3 hits, and 13 hurries. So it's not necessarily great, but there is some stuff that he can hang his hat on. For one, he only commits 1 penalty all season, which is great for a guy who plays almost 700 snaps. And you also, let me not skip ahead here, right? He played pretty much the whole season at right tackle, like his whole career. Actually a good amount more run blocking than pass blocking. 377 run blocking snaps, 309 pass blocking snaps. More gap than zone, but a good mix of both. And you can see the PFF grade went way up, even in pass blocking. Even though his raw stats of allowing quarterback hits is basically the same, if you go on a per snap basis, they think he improved a lot, and his run blocking grade went way up. So now we're talking about a somewhat interesting prospect, right? And 2024 was a very interesting year for him. because he actually played most of the year over on the left side. So let's look at this, because typically speaking, left tackle is the harder of the two. Usually you would expect a right tackle to have a hard time moving to left tackle, not just because of going from right to left, but because it's harder to do typically. Was it? Let's take a look. Plays more snaps, 736 snaps, 3 sacks again, but only 5 quarterback hurries, so 8 quarterback pressures total across more pass blocking snaps than he had the previous year, and almost as many as he had 2 years prior. 6 penalties. Okay, that picks up a little bit, but it's still not unreasonable. Like I said, mostly a left tackle this year. Did play over 120 snaps at right, but there was pretty much, he was pretty much the left tackle with a tiny bit of guard mixed in here, by the way. More run blocking than pass blocking. Again, Kansas, but not by much. It's close. More gap, more zone than gap, but good mix of both. And despite the position change, PFF thought he had his best season ever. 80, good pass block grade, good run block grade. Now we're cooking. Now we're getting somewhere with this guy. So pretty good. Pretty good improvement, and reason to believe he's worthy of a draft pick and being a good NFL player. So career 52 games, and I believe he played most, if not all, of the snaps in those games. 3,000 snaps, 11 sacks allowed, 6 hits allowed, and 63 hurries allowed. So he's pretty leaky in that area, which is why you're not going to see him play tackle in the NFL. And 16 penalties, which is it's not terrible. There were a couple years where it was rough, but again, that's why he's not going to be playing tackle. 2,400 of his snaps, so 80% of them at right tackle. A little bit more run blocking than pass blocking, and a little bit more gap than zone. All right, so those are the numbers for Mr. Cabeldue here. There's definitely some stuff we don't love, but I think it's very important to remember that he was a college tackle, and he will not be a pro tackle, and a lot of the issues he has as a player, a lot of the things that held him back from being better than this had to do with that. So take it as you will. I'm going to go and get out of here. Got another video coming up in a few hours, and we'll talk more about Cabeldue. So stay tuned for that. I will see you guys very soon. Go Hawks. Let me know what you think of Bryce Cabeldue down below. We are getting into the late day 3 guys now, so only a few more rookies to look at, and then we're moving on. So let me know what's up. Go Hawks.